Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sanji Imura, dropping some Three Kingdoms knowledge on you tonight. Tonight we're going to have a little interview with Kou Shibusawa and Echigoya. I do apologize in advance if I butchered any names. So tonight we're going to go into the interview. This is from the Japanese website game.watch.impress.co.japan. So tonight, let us go into the interview because some very interesting information has dropped regarding Romance 14. So with that said, let's go into the interview right now, and here it is in all of its glory up that away. So the interview opens up with a little interesting little question. What would happen if the original Sengoku Shi is revived with modern technology? Romance 14 works to aim to return to the origin of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Now, in case you haven't realized what is going on, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the original NES release, was released in 1989 here in the U.S., and it featured some interesting little gameplay with states, where you aim control of city-states, and you attack certain other states in order to unify China. So, with that said, we have, and this interview is by Senji Nakamura at on the 12th of August 2019 at midnight. So, with that said, let's go into the game. Let's go into some game details. Sengoku Shi 14 is scheduled to be released this winter. We've already covered that in this channel. Price is to be determined, and serial rating is to be judged. Here's the new information, ladies and gentlemen. Number of players 1. If you were expecting local multiplayer, my hunch in my post-analysis videos was correct in saying that there's only going to be one player. So with that said, the Sengoku Shi 14 was conducted at China Joy, an extremely unusual event happening. The interviews was started without waiting for the designated time. The author moved 5 minutes before moving from China Joy venue, and the interview had already begun. Mr. Echigoya was about to finish answering the first question. After the interview, I asked the person in charge of Sony Interactive Entertainment Shanghai, who hosted the interview, to find out the reason. It is said to be make rude to both sides wait because it entered. I think this episode shows how Chinese game media pays attention to Sengoku Shi 14 and respects the original creator of the series, Mr. Shibusha Kou. In fact, there were several reporters asking for autographs. And Mr. Shibusha responded well. This Sengoku Shi 14 will be the title announced in China following the actual machine generation of Gengoku Musho 8 around 2 years ago, as previously reported. I'll link that article in the description. Moreover, this time it wasn't a real machine demonstration. It was an announcement itself. And not only the producer, but also the creator, Mr. Shibusha Kou, was able to feel more emphasis on the Chinese market than before. The interview was attended by Kazuhiro Echigoya, the producer who also appeared in the live broadcast PlayStation Online Showcase, and Mr. Kou Shibusawa, the general producer. Intense questions from the enthusiastic reporters who played the past series first. Okay. Here's some few quotes. Echigoya, the first Sengoku was still interesting. Why did it was in response that it was in response to a question: why did Sengoku 4 adopted a system similar to Sengoku 9 and 11? After careful consideration within the team when the project was launched, I think that the method of playing one warlord of Sengoku 13 was highly complete, but this time I wanted to return to a more traditional system. Therefore, we decided to restore the Sengoku 9 and Sengoku 11 systems that were popular among fans. This guy is Mr. Kazuhiro Echigoya. Are you referring to the more recent popular work Total War 3 Kingdoms, released in May 2019 by Creative Assembly? The development of Sengoku 14 has started a long time ago, and since Total War 3 Kingdoms has recently been released, it never been incorporated in specs. However, when we actually played it, there was a place that impressed us with a purely interesting game, a different way of drawing and perceiving Sengoku. I think it's a good thing for the whole Sengoku. When I speak of Sengoku, I refer to Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Sengoku is a longtime fan who has played the series all the time, but in fact, after Sengoku 13 with a power-up kit, I thought that Sengoku 14 would soon come out. Because the period of when the sequel comes out, there seems to be a pattern. As for the impressions, improvements, and new elements in the Sengoku series so far, we have little feeling that the game characteristics will change drastically. And I feel that the gradually improvements are gradually added. What is the big difference between this work and the series so far, and how do you appeal to both old and new users? Mr. Irogashi, first of all, the most important thing is to make it simpler, unlike the previous work. Referring to Sengoku 13. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13. So far, we have made various systems and battles from the first numbering of the numbering to the 13th, but it became more and more deep. The opinion that came out in the first team discussion at 14 at this time was that the first Sengoku was still interesting. Okay, timeout. So Sengoku 1, which is Romance of the Three Kingdoms for the NES, all the way back in 1989, was still interesting to the team. Okay, sidebar over. What is interesting is that I find easy to enjoy the country theft, and the starting point this time was I want to be able to express that country theft in a place where I can enjoy the simplicity. The system follows 9 and 11, so it can be enjoyed simply, so that old fans can enjoy again. But the deep parts have been cultivated over many years, remain deep, and if they're compatible, the old fans can play with nostalgia. Oh boy, here we go again. Okay, so nostalgia. As for the simple part, one of the elements that I thought in the first that the first generation was fun. In the first generation, I was painting. I had a great time feeling that I could repaint the whole world with the colors of my own powers. On top of that, the data was deeper and more detailed, and the number of military commanders is increasing. It may be possible to provide that fun that is different from the old days. I think in that fusion. Okay, here's the coloring. Let me open it up. Let me open up that image because we're going to be talking about it for a little bit. Here it is. We have Cao Cao attacking Wan Xiao. And then we also have Liu Bei over here and Tato Quan further to the east. Okay. I think there is still something that has been cultivated in 30 years until Sengoku Shi 13. And what kind of performance do you think the game will reach success while reforming with Sengoku Shi 14? Okay. So, at this time, we are trying to make the first taste, including the part of the coloring. In that sense, if the old fans play again and say, this is interesting, or if you play with nostalgia, I think this time's aim is a success. Impressive. After this question. After developing the Sengoku series for a long time, was there any new discovery in the history of Sengoku? Regarding the new discovery of Sengoku, we're trying to increase the number of military commanders to 1,000. Up to now, there are about 850 people, and another 150 people were added from there. Again, worried about who to add and who to not. I realized again there are many characters in Sengoku. I felt that I was making drama in which various warlords were involved, and I felt it was interesting because there were warlords with different impressions on the individualization of 1,000 people. You have developed a game about Miyatama in the past, but is there a plan to make another game on the history of China in the same way? I want to challenge various things in the future, not just the Three Kingdoms. Other historical materials, such as Sengoku Spring and Autumn, are considered awesome options, and Three Kingdoms are actually selling. Three Kingdoms here referring to Total War Three Kingdoms. Just my 0.02 cents on the subject. I've always think that I want to consider the possibility of making it into a game, including other times. Sengoku Shi 4 is that coloring is the point. But I think it will be a new play, but not a city-based point detail. How will the play change? Okay. Perhaps the most difficult thing. Yeah, you can read his response. Perhaps the most difficult thing is that the warrior's travel route will be specified in detail. Of course, the route selection is important in terms of how to paint heat checks and land. By painting one by one, as a result, you will play considering the position of the boundary line and the enemy country as a whole. Up until now, I was only going to get to the point of the city, but this time, I think about the defense line, including the city. So I think the feeling of play will change there. Actually, I play tested with several versions, but that has changed. Okay, we have some images here. Okay, we have a travel route. Cao Cao is about to take his turn. And we're going to go into the next image right here. And there is his travel route. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I suppose I should have done it in the backwards order. Okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It got the expression done. Okay. How is personality expressed specifically in the premise that the AI is greatly strengthened and gives personality to 1,000 warlords? For example, there are 1,000 generals who did not follow the command in the previous work, or there are warlords who took arbitrary actions. In terms of individuals, individuality, the organizational charts of managers in the monarchy, municipal administration. Okay. Sorry. Are different in the first place. For example, the forces that are good at the military and domestic politics, and the difference between individuality are due to the forces that are clearly appearing and the behavior patterns and the way that of advancement due to the differences in functions. For example, military commanders who are good at coloring the advance speed depending on the military commander whom you belong, and such as an early military commander, the attack method for each power changes. Eventually, it's expressed in color. Question. And we are getting halfway through the document. Sengokushi 14 is likely a game where land and human resources occupy a large weight, but will there be a large power, abundant human power advantage, and will there be disadvantages if small powers play? What is the game balance? Okay. Answer. To put it simply, small powers are disadvantages. So I think it's much harder to win with a small force than ever before. This is where human resource search, diplomacy, and contracts come into play. I think this is difficult to survive if we don't make full use of the method in protecting other than the generals. The history is severe, or in fact, the weak powers are destroyed, so they'll be traced. Since this is a history simulation game, it is premised on such a thing, so I think that there is fun as a game on how much you can change the history there. Another screenshot. This is the same one we saw before of Siege. I am planning on prepare several difficulty levels from easy to hard rather than just one difficulty level. First of all, I would like to play with easy and gradually increase the difficulty level and challenge the hardware to make it crawl. Question. Sengokushi 13 is a new system represented by Prestige, and I think there's a specification. There was a specification that would lower the user's freedom as a result, with the intention of lowering hurdles such like Prestige. How do you think about the direction of the game at this time? Do you focus on new or core fans? Okay, this time it's not a game that's clearly new, but it's important to keep the game simple. Everybody was new in that they were the first Sengokushi. So basically, Romance 13 was the first Romance of the Three Kingdoms game that they played. However, everyone thought it was interesting that led to the series. In order to simplify and understand what has become difficult as the numbering progresses, we try to simplify the difficult parts and make a specification for everyone. As a game, the system might rather be aimed at core fans, but the way to play is simple. And we saw this screenshot before. Cao Cao attacking Liu Bei. The simplified Chinese version is also under development. This is a Chinese version, or does it say that the simplified Chinese version is included in the global version? I'm thinking about selling it in mainland China on PS4. There are other PCs, so we are considering what to do. PS4 is made as a Chinese version. Localization is also done on the PC version, but we are okay. Okay. Let's go into this answer specifically. Localization will be done on the PS4 and PC. So, I guess that's new information. And we're going to go into Mr. Kou's version of the part of the interview. Yes. Okay, you can read the rest of the interview at the link in the video description. This has gone on for 20 minutes, and I think I had enough. Okay, so analysis, my friends. It is going to be a one-player game. It is the PC and PS4 versions are going to be localized, and I guess this is news that we can walk away from. So, with that said, I am Sanji Himura, dropping Three Kingdoms knowledge on you, and I will see you guys next time.